Good day. As the United States continues to navigate its difficult transition period in the fraught days before the new president's inauguration on 20th January 2021, life in the rest of the world continues. And we have, in fact, had some interesting information from one important Western country, which is France. This information takes the form of emails and other documents setting out advice given to then candidate Emmanuel Macron in 2017 in the run-up to his election as French president in May 2017. It's important to remember that this election took place a few months after the British had voted for Brexit in the Brexit referendum of June 2016, whilst it would be an exaggeration to say that the French presidential election of May 2017 was overshadowed by Brexit. Clearly, it was a serious issue. Also, it is important to remember that Emmanuel Macron, when he stood in that election, did so as the supporter of a stronger Europe. He was constantly talking in the election about the solution to the EU's problems being more Europe. And in fact, since that election took place, Emmanuel Macron has become identified as Europe's strongest and most passionate integrationist, the person who wants to see the EU forge ever closer links, and who has also spoken about the need for deepened European cooperation on foreign and defence policy. It is the latter issue that this document leak actually touches on most significantly, because it turns out that Macron was given extensive advice in the run-up to being elected president that his ideas of deeper defence and foreign policy cooperation within the EU were, in effect, a non-starter. The Germans, without whom such cooperation cannot happen, Macron was advised, were not interested. They would not be prepared to pay for deeper European military integration, and it would be all but impossible, apparently, to corral all the other European states into some sort of tighter defence cooperation arrangement, especially when the Germans were not prepared to support it. On the contrary, Macron was strongly advised that if France wanted to maintain a strong, independent military posture, then it had no alternative but to deepen ties with Britain, Brexit or no Brexit, as the case might be. The reasoning here is that France and Britain are the two most powerful military powers within the European part of the NATO alliance. They are the only two European powers within NATO that possess independent nuclear deterrence, significant navies, have an international defence posture, and have by far the biggest and strongest armed forces. Moreover, in the period preceding the Brexit referendum, the British and the French had increasingly cooperated with each other on defence policies and defence arrangements, in some ways mirroring the well-known defensive alliance that was forged in the first half of the 20th century, which is known as the Entente Cordiale. As it turned out, Macron, not for the first time, paid little heed to this advice. France, after he became president, increasingly neglected its military cooperation arrangements with the British. Instead, Macron has pursued and continues to pursue the chimera of, or mirage if you prefer, of deeper European defence cooperation, notwithstanding the clear advice which he was given by his own team of advisors that it was not viable. The result is that British and French defence and foreign policy cooperation and coordination, which had begun to flourish, especially under Nicolas Sarkozy, has essentially faded out. Britain is currently pursuing defence arrangements with Spain. Apparently, it is not looking at deepening French military arrangements with France. This is partly because post-Brexit Britain has become suspicious of France, as Macron instead pursues deeper military integration arrangements within the EU. As he was advised, the Germans are not interested in those, and they are a non-starter. One of the reasons that the Germans are hostile to these ideas, quite apart from their well-known aversion to a stronger military posture anyway, is because the German political leadership, the German political class, understand very well that when Macron talks about deeper military integration within the EU, what he is trying to do is leverage France's relative military strength in order to oust or at least counterbalance Germany's economic leadership of the EU, which Macron and many others in France resent. The Germans have no interest in any step that will make Macron more powerful and more influential within the EU, and unsurprisingly, they have therefore shown no interest in supporting his military defence cooperation proposals. The result is that the deal that was negotiated between the EU and Britain contains and says nothing about foreign policy and defence cooperation between Britain and the EU. And of course, there is nothing in place to strengthen or develop or continue military and foreign policy and defence cooperation between Britain and France. Not for the first time, Macron has pursued the mirage of greater integration within the EU and within Europe in order to leverage himself and France, as he expects, to a stronger position, whereas in reality he has sacrificed French national interests. I wonder how far this will continue, and given the importance to the French people of France's independent foreign policy and its strong policy of maintaining a strong military posture, whether this will not have an important influence in the election in France, the presidential election, which is now coming. Thank you very much for joining me on this program. Please also come to my next program on this channel. Please also check out my other programs with my colleague Alex Christoforou on the Duran. Please also check out his channel. You'll find links under this video. Please also come to our shop, buy the amazing products that you will find there, our famous magic mugs our sweatshirts, our t-shirts, our hoodies, our hats like these. And please find us on our other platforms, BitChute, Patreon, Library, Odyssey, and the rest. And please also support us through PayPal, Subscribestar, and Patreon. Thank you very much, and I look forward to you joining me on my next broadcast.